Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for tuning in. I am still like, my throat is still like, rah, from being, you know,
Rah.
it's very like, raw, from doing the events this weekend. But I'm so happy that Andrew flew out from Boston to join me and a few other comrades.
Boston. Came from
Boston
Boston.
from Beantown. And yay, we got to see each other again and we had so much fun. So yeah, he got to share that experience with me, which is amazing. Um, and we had such a great time after Saturday's event. We went to dinner with the two of us, Jenna, Johan, Lauren, and we just like all went around the table and talked about our favorite moments of the weekend. And it was just pretty incredible because everybody had something different to say, and but everything was so positive. It was it was truly, like, I'm not kidding you when I say that Saturday was one of the best days of my life. I am not exaggerating. It was phenomenal. I have not felt that much solidarity in so many years. And it was just so beautiful. It was amazing. I did see Matt in the comments. Matt, you were at the rally. Thank you so much for being there. What does that say?
It's a heart. Matt put in a heart
Oh, okay,
from
perfect
earlier. Yeah.
timing.
Yeah.
um, and also, before we get started, I did want to say tonight is 6 years that I've done a show. Tonight is the 6 year anniversary, which is bananas. So I've done uh God, thousands, literally thousands of shows. So this is kind of, I kind of can't remember when I didn't do it. But yeah, 6 years today. It's kind of crazy.
Yeah.
Um, but
Yeah.
I'm so glad to have my own channel and be exclusively on this. But in any case, let's bring on our two guests, Jami and Christina. You may recognize Jami. Oh, I think we have Edward. Yay! Edward is the superhero of the week. He helped us unload the U-Haul both times. Let's see those muscles.
Yes.
He
Got
loves
some napkins in
superheroes.
there. Yeah.
Yes, and we actually have, oh, Jenna's in the comments. She loves Edward as
Yes.
well. They are superstars. We'll actually be watching a video of Edward and Jamie's daughter. Jamie, you may recognize from being on here before, but these two women are just so inspiring and so amazing, and honestly, just two of the best moms ever, because they are doing what they're doing partly before for their kids, but also educating them on what is going on and inviting them to join them in the movement that they are creating. So I love both of you so much. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Joy. And
Absolutely.
met my daughter Kyla. She already had a natural voice for advocacy and organizing.
And raw. She is tiny, but she is fierce. Well, there was an announcement today. I want to, before I go into my thoughts, I want to see what you guys think. So, Governor Shapiro of PA said that he has succeeded in getting Pennsylvania residents affected by the train derailment $1 million. What is your reaction to that?
Uh, First of all, I don't believe that it said he got it for the people that were affected. He got it for the communities. So what that means is exactly what happened in East Palestine. They're giving $1 million to two different. Christina can specify this. She's from PA, but they're giving it to their governments to improve the community.
Exactly.
What they're probably going to end up with is a $500,000 park.
Sounds familiar.
Yeah, it's almost like that's been done before.
Yeah,
Christina.
I kind of think that it will go for splash pads or something because that's what's been popping up over here already. And carnival rides because that's already in the works too.
Okay.
That
That's
farmers market. They just
Oh, yeah.
Oh yes, I saw that. How exciting!
yeah, Norfolk Southern is sponsoring a a little market with local produce, which scares the hell out of me, to be quite frank.
You probably have chemicals all over the food. I wouldn't
Jeez.
even trust it. They
Wow.
probably are like best friends with Monsanto or something.
Right. Matt
Well-
just put here splash pads with the contaminated water exactly on the same way.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Well, the Easter egg hunt and things like that was on contaminated area, wasn't it?
Yeah, they had they had these booms, and what booms are gosh, I don't know how else to say it. I'm gonna say it the adult way. We call them toxic tampons because that's what they look like, are like these tampons that they lay on top of the creeks, and it's supposed to absorb all the chemicals off the top.
Oh.
So they have those stored at our city park. And during one meeting, we asked our mayor, why did you make the decision to store these chemical filled booms at our city park of all places? And he said, I didn't make that decision. And we were like, okay. And he said, what happened was everyone that should have or would have made that decision was busy at the command central, or I forget what they call it. But anyways, they were all busy with the train derailment stuff, and Norfolk Southern just put them in there. And he said, and I quote, once I found out they were there, I said, get them the hell out of there. But as far as the Easter egg hunt, since people may not know that Christina and I have a personal relationship, she's become one of my best friends. Our kids play together, but I would encourage her to tell the story of her eggs right now while we're talking about Easter egg hunts.
Yeah. So this over the weekend, actually the day of the rally, my dad had called and told me while I was there that one of our chickens had died. And previously to that, not long after the derailment, we had an egg, like we had one egg that was really squishy and like one of those stress balls that you use, and another egg that had the yolk on the outside.
Wow.
Damn.
Never had pre-derailment though.
Wow.
Nope. Then our chickens are only like a little over a year old.
Oh my gosh. And didn't you have a cat pass away as well?
We've had
Oof.
several die. We've had a cat, and we had a couple litters of kittens this year, so like 7 kittens died. And most of the kittens are just within the last like month and a half.
Wow. That's terrible.
That's incredible. I remember seeing a gentleman near right around when this first happened, who has a fox sanctuary, and he was sharing how, just how bad the foxes were doing. And I came across an article, now this was at least a month ago, that said 45,000 animals have died since the February 3rd derailment. That's absolutely incredible. And I know that a lot of people in the area do have farmland. So are you hearing this from people a lot, that their livestock or their animals are getting sick or passing away?
Yeah, we're hearing it's pretty common that pets are getting ailments and passing away. And in regards to the fox story, the gentleman that had the foxes that passed, and all of his litter since the derailment, I believe he said it only takes like 40 days or something for foxes to their gestational period. They've had various sorts of deformities, including cleft palates, which a large um so yeah, that's what we have to look forward to.
My gosh. Wow. That's incredible. And I know some of the physical experiences, the medical issues, um, hi honey, that people are going through are, they're not getting better, they're getting worse. And I think one of the most powerful and most poignant things on Saturday was listening to your niece Jenna. Um, that was She is so brave, so brave. And I'm probably gonna cry just thinking about it. She What a wonderful young woman, 17 years old, brave enough to come up, share her personal story, her personal struggle. Um, that was hard for her and hard to listen to. How have you talked to her since Saturday? Is she like, you know, glad she spoke up, or how is she doing?
Yeah, that's my boo. That's
Mm.
my firstborn niece. I cut her umbilical cord, so I
Mm.
always tell her she's my first true love. Not only does she look like me, but she has my attitude too. So I think she again was a natural born advocate, is what we call it in our family, instead of big mouths. But it did take a lot of courage to get up there and speak, especially at that age when you're so worried about what do I look like. And she was like, I can't believe I cried up there, and I'm like, that's okay. And for her to be speaking about women issues that we have all been experiencing, that's one of those things that you don't post on Facebook, like, boy, was my period so heavy and I couldn't move, this and that. And it wasn't until Unity Council that I started talking to other women. And when you
Mhm.
mention it, they say, "Oh my God, me too."
Hmm.
She was able to stand up there at 17 and not only, speak her truth, but to also talk about issues that at that age, you don't even want to go in the store and buy tampons, let alone stand up on a stage and talk about these women health issues. But it's a very real issue. And I know it's derailment related because it can affect your ability to have children. So to me, that says, I'm not a doctor, but if it has something to do with your menstrual cycle, that's probably what's throwing it off right now. So super, super proud aunt. Um, that's my baby girl. That's my boo.
And another thing she spoke about that was so touching and relatable for so many of us was her story of depression and anxiety and the toll this has taken on her. And, from interviewing so many East Palestine people, I know that that is a very common thing. That a lot of you have PTSD and, are really suffering without any kind of means of help whatsoever. I did, I know in one of the Unity Council meetings, it was stated that there is a doctor who will be providing counseling to some of you.
Do you want to talk about it, Christina? You want me to?
I think you know more about her, but she is working on starting to get people trauma therapy, and also working with people across the state line as well to help people get the therapy too, which I think is something that not just us in Unity Council need, but a lot of other people do too. And it's been a thing that's gone unaddressed for this entire time.
And I um too. to play off of that is I told, gosh, and apologize, I forget her name right now, but the woman that's coming in to do the trauma care. First of all, it's specialized counseling, so it's for trauma. They usually bring these types of counselors in like after 9/11 and Columbine and things.
Right.
You know, I talked to her about in particular because it feels like we need it now more than ever. You would think like immediately after the trauma would be the worst. But when it's been, you talk about your 6 years, our 6 months is coming up here on the 3rd of August. So when you talk about for 6 months, you have been fighting this. Some of our victories don't even feel like victories at this point. Like, for example, the EPA finally admitting, well, yeah, Jami, you were right. We should have been testing basements back on February 15th. And you want to be like, yes, finally they understand. Finally they listen. And then you start thinking, people have been sitting in these houses for 6 months now. And then, the way that I'm highly sensitive. Then I start internalizing that into maybe you should have been louder. Maybe you didn't speak to the right people. Children obviously are my heart. They always have been. I believe in, children being our future. So if one child sat in there for 6 months because nobody listened to me, it's a victory, but is it? When they declared the state of emergency, we were excited. And then it's like, then it hits you like, why did it take this long for our own government to recognize that we needed this declared? So trauma care, that's what we're going to get. And also for our children. I talked about that a little bit at the rally. They call my only child and Christina's only child the twins, but who's going to support them when they get older? Like, no one else is going to understand. Give me that water bottle, honey. Thank you. No one else is going to understand what it was like to go through as a child other than these children. They're going to need support if, I don't want to say it, but if we leave them early, they're going to need support of each other when they're dealing with their own illnesses. So we also doing the counseling for the children. Definitely also to start building like that support up for them.
Andrew, could we play the video, that little like few second clip of the kids that I put in the DM?
Yeah, it's like 21 seconds long.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I want you guys to see this because this particularly stuck with many of us.
Just give me 1 second to pull it up. All right, here we go. Boom,
This is
boom.
you guys.
Yeah, about to see yourselves.
Watch, you're going to be on TV.
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
What did you say, buddy?
Say it one more
Can you
time.
say it again so I can get it on video? Wow, good job. How sad that they learned that, though.
Man, like that was.
No, we're not going to watch it again right now. We'll watch it later. This is
Oh, I adore you guys. That I cannot even imagine, because I look at these kids, I just adore them. They are just so special. And I look at them pronouncing this word that I have trouble pronouncing at 44. And, it makes me think these babies are 3 and 4 years old, and their entire life has been COVID and trained around that.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they need a reprieve. Like that. I mean, it was so fun to just be there and play and, and just give them some time to just be kids and do fun things, because My gosh, that I can't even fathom. And as mothers, what is that like for you? Just trying to, I mean, you guys bring them, to a lot of events. Like, have they had questions about, I know Christina, you said that Edward, reacts when he smells chlorine.
Yeah, we went up to a lake with Jamie a couple weekends ago, and as we were coming down the hill, he even asked like if the smell was chlorine that we all smelled in the car. And when like I've talked to Jamie, I think a little bit about it, where I turned and I looked at him, and like what took me back, I don't know if she knows this, but the look on his face, his eyes were like big, like, what's that smell? I know that smell. And it took me back to the night the train happened. And it was like just a flood of the memories and feelings, like of being terrified. And for him, he doesn't understand what's going on. It's just a big fire out in the woods, because that's like where I live. You could see the fire through the trees and smoke, and so it's like I'm sure it was scary for him just as it was for us.
I'll have to send you the video that I took of Kyla. We were still in the hotel. It was like probably a month after the derailment, and it was nighttime when we were getting ready to leave. And I was buckling her in, and she starts talking, and I don't even know why I started recording it, but she's like, mommy, she's like, blah 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 blah. Like, she talks, and she's like, our house is broken, and then she starts asking about her toys. And I said, Kyla, don't worry, we'll get your toys. And then she's like, what about the toys of all the kids in the town? And I said, Kyla, you're 3. Quit stressing. Mommy got this. And she just looks and she's like, Mommy got this. And then she yelled at her grandma, who's in the front seat, hey, G, Mommy got this. So I kind of say that to Unity Council when we start getting down. I'm like, we got this. We don't have a choice. It's mostly mothers in Unity Council. We only have 3 men: my stepdad, Darren, my brother, Jake, and Daniel from River Valley Organizing. So that's shout them out for putting up with all of us.
Yes.
But it's kind of, it's a juggle. You want to make sure that they still have good memories of their childhood while you're fighting for their future. A lot of multitasking. I'm not going to lie. 90% of my meetings during the day are done with my cell phone sitting right here in the top of my shirt on speaker, because I'm on meetings while I'm making lunch, while I'm doing dishes. It's a lot of multitasking. And I feel like that's also why it's mothers that are left fighting in the end. Actually, I'm sure you know the name Melissa May from Flint, Michigan. She had told that to a couple of the women in our town. She said, watch, in the very end, she said, the last people that'll be standing fighting with you will all be other mothers. And I think part of that is because we find time. Everybody's like, well, I don't have time. I have to work, or I have to do this. And, as mothers, giving up isn't even an option. That's, even if I wanted to give up, it's not an option. I'm a mom. That's my duty to her.
Andrew, do you have any questions?
Yeah, I mean, one question I had, and I wanted to kind of get both of your takes on this, because it seemed, I mean, at least to me, unexpected. So throughout the whole rally, right, there was somebody from a local affiliate, Fox. Where specifically was that local affiliate station of Fox who was filming the whole thing?
Yeah, Youngstown.
That was Youngstown. Okay, yeah. Someone from Youngstown who stayed and filmed it all, was talking to some of the residents, right, and interviewing them. And then at the end, ended up just speaking a little bit with, cameras gone, and just talking about sort of the distrust in the media, right, and recognizing some of that. So I wanted to just get some of your takes on some of that, because that to me was very unexpected and surprising, and I wanted to see if that was unsurprising to you.
I mean, I appreciate it. I think that just like anything else, I was raised that, there are good people and bad people, bottom line. It doesn't matter what your skin color is, what your religion is, what profession you have. And I feel like some people were a little jaded towards the media
Mm-hmm.
because national media came in, did their story when the train went kaboom.
Yep.
Um, and then, when we start testing positive for vinyl chloride, well, we can't book you tonight. We're kind of busy,
Right.
getting indicted. So I think that's part of it. There also were so many good journalists that even fought with their editors, production, their bosses to come in and tell our story. I remember one woman in particular. It was from the New York Times, and she said, my boss was like, "Is this story really a good story?" And we did the story, which I will say the picture she took that day looked like, love that picture, favorite picture. But they post the story, and I think within like 10 minutes, there was like, I forget, like a godly number of, hits on it. Like, look, look, look. And a lot of the reporters also got sick.
Mm.
I talked about the international reporters. We got a flood of international reporters. They were like, we're looking at the US, and if you guys handle, are we going to? But, one particular gentleman from Germany that spent the day with us, very sick the next day. We had reporters that had nosebleeds. We had reporters with stinging eyes, and, no, Erin Brockovich herself, when she came in, she had an eye injury from the chemicals she was exposed to, and it reflared her eye injury, so she won't come back. Dr. Walton got sick from Purdue University. Scott Smith, who's been coming in doing independent testing, he got sick. So it's not just the residents. There were a lot of reporters that I feel like risked their own health to come in. I would even tell them, Christina, I think you were there, the two young girls a couple weeks ago at one of the EPA meetings, right across the creek from my house. They were from a local university. And I was like, hey, you young girls should not be here without a mask. Like, you're here reporting on this because it's toxic. It causes infertility. They look like they were maybe 20 years old. I don't want them coming in there to get a story when they're 20 and end up with the repercussions of never having a child. I know what that feels like. And, want a child so bad and be told you can never have one. But obviously I could.
Mm.
Yeah, I mean, that's such a good point. And I've been experiencing, I know Jenna had a few symptoms, but I mean, still my voice is kind of jacked up. Saturday I was like coughing. We went to dinner, and we went to some burger place. It was like a nice restaurant, but like a burger place, and they're known for their burgers. And I got one, and I was like, this burger has zero flavor whatsoever. And then I got French fries that I kept pouring salt all over them. And Jenna's like, no, those fries were like super salty. You didn't need salt. So I realized, my taste buds were like gone. Saturday, the calves in my legs went tingly on the drive in the U-Haul back. And like all these things just started like popping into my head, like, oh my God. And we were not technically in East Palestine. We
Right.
were a few miles out, and still.
Yeah. I'm sorry. My mom told me that she got real sick after being there at the rally, and so did I. And it's, you mentioned those symptoms because those aren't ones that are normally on the media or talked about a lot. As far as taste buds, I'm a big girl and I like to cook. I live in the country. I make my noodles from scratch, and we very much cook by, we don't have recipes. You put a pinch of this and a handful of this, and then you taste it. Uh, and I'm telling you, it freaked me out. I'm like, that's my one enjoyment in life. That's my hobby. I love to cook. I love to feed people, and to have my taste buds gone. And, at first, people try to make you think you're crazy, like you can't attribute everything to the derailment. But then you start talking to people and you hear more and more people, and you're like, yeah, that's a symptom. So it's funny that you brought up that symptom that hasn't been talked about a lot. And I think that Christina can tell you a similar story about the cramps in your calves.
That's I immediately thought of you because we were riding back in the U-Haul that second day on Saturday, and I said, oh my God, my calves are tingling," and I instantly felt like I was going to throw up, and
Yep.
it came out of nowhere, and I instantly said, "Oh my God, I think Christina had something like this."
Yeah. Whenever it's been a couple weeks now since I've gone into town, East Palestine, and whenever I go, when I went up there the last time, it was the before that there had been 2 weeks in between that, and I had gone up to town, and on the way up the hill into town, my legs got numb, like from my knees to my ankles, and like a tingling numbness, like if your feet fall asleep. And then I started to feel like I was super drunk. And then I was sitting in the EPA office with Jami and Mark Durno, and I started feeling like this is going to be horrible, but I started to feel like I was like super high. And so it does like make you feel like nauseous, or I almost even pulled over on the side of the road on the way to the office up there because I really felt like I was going to throw up. And before that, that was kind of like a normal thing even at my house. And I don't know if anybody knows, like I'm almost 6 miles away from from the train derailment site. And here for like 4.5 months, it was every day with symptoms as well. And even now, you can still smell chlorine sometimes, like a chlorine smell, and still get sick and still get headaches here. And we're not even in town.
And it doesn't affect everyone. That's the thing. When I talked to Deborah from the Region 5 EPA, she said, people have different tolerances to chemical exposure. So people that are in it must be building up a tolerance too, because they don't smell it. But when I go into town, I can smell it. And it seems like if you were immune compromised before the derailment, people are having a lot more symptoms. I have some pre-existing medical conditions, anemia, and a couple other, minor things. But I'm also just super sensitive skin. When I can't use Tide, laundry soap, or I break out already. So I already have that sensitive skin. So when I got the rashes, it was no surprise that if someone was going to get it, it was going to be the fair skinned redhead who has sensitive skin. So I think that's part of what causes the divide. I don't know if anyone else felt symptoms, but when the CDC came in for one day and walked down the road next to Ground Zero, it was funny, almost exactly, well, it was exactly half of them. They brought 14 in. 7 of them had symptoms, and 7 of them had nothing. So interesting that how it can affect people not only differently, with the different symptoms, but also different severities. Like, Christina being 6 miles out and still getting symptoms. Maybe her dad doesn't get symptoms until he goes into town. It's kind of like COVID. We're such a small community in East Palestine. COVID's created by the government and it's not real, and because they'd never seen anyone with COVID. But then when they came into town, some of them started believing, but then you also had the people that were asymptomatic that were like, oh, it's just a little cold, or it's just like the flu, or, so it's almost the same thing with the chemical exposure. You can be asymptomatic, but they're still breathing in the vinyl chloride.
Do you think that some of it is that people convince themselves they're not sick?
You know, actually, I've done like I had gone in out of town, and then I had gone in like for EPA meetings a week apart, and each time that night my throat would start draining and it would start itchy throat and coughing and my nose running. And then you start, because everyone's, telling you you're faking these symptoms. Then I start thinking, okay, you just have a cold. You just have a cold. And then it happens 2 times in a row. And I'm like, this is just a quint. And then I'm like, no, stop. You know what it is. It's not, you just don't coincidentally get sick every time you go into town.
Right.
So it's almost like whether, people were saying it was like some kind of mass psychosis before we started getting the positive test results. But it's like, even with that, it's almost like I try to do the reverse psychosis on myself, because I'm trying to convince myself that it's not because of the derailment. Even some of those women issues, when it was just me, I'm like, oh, you're just, don't chalk this up to the derailment. Right. But you hear 15 other women with the same problems in our small, community. It's like, yeah, maybe it is from the derailment. So.
Wow. Do you have any questions, Andrew?
Yeah. I'm just trying to think. It's a lot of things that we talked about, but I guess, in terms of next steps and what you're continuing to advocate for, right? So obviously, we talked about how Josh Shapiro announced the $1 million in aid, and how superficial that is, right? So I guess now that has come out, and that's something that I'm sure that gives even some media outlets to even talk about and other people to talk about, I guess, do you have any kind of plans with the Unity Council or your fellow residents of how you're going to try and spread awareness of how, hey, this is not actually a solution and here's what should be done?
Christina and Hillary, I think, already reached out to Shapiro's office, but what we're doing on Thursday and Friday is we're heading to DC. So Shapiro, if you're watching, and you would like to meet with a couple of your Pennsylvania residents, Christina will be with us along with Hillary. We are meeting with, I think we're up to 7 different legislators. I kind of talked about this at the rally, but I said it again today. Like, I am just so freaking proud of Unity Council. When you have, huge organizations that said, how did you get that many meetings set up? We just decided to go on Friday. But, we reached out every meeting I was in. I even did an interview for a nonprofit that's run by Al Gore. And I said, hey, no, this isn't conventional when I'm interviewing for one of your open positions, but we're going to DC. If, we can talk to Al Gore if he knows anyone, and I just say, look, I don't care if I sound desperate at this point. I will beg. So the fact that we got that many meetings scheduled with different legislators that quickly, and we're not done. We're taking enough people that if they overlap, we can, have different people in different meetings. That's the whole point of Unity Council. It doesn't matter if I'm in a meeting, Hillary's in a meeting, Christina's in a meeting. We have that common message and solidarity. You know that your message is going to be heard. That was one of Norfolk's divide and conquer. We'd all be invited to different meetings. So that was, part of the reason why we formed Unity Council. But, when Hillary was talking, our vice president was talking to another big nonprofit, they were just amazed that we pulled this together. And we, like I said, we're not even done yet. And that's kind of what I said at the rally too. I think most of us, except for Hillary, the vice president, have never done this type of work before. We've never organized. We've never been advocates. So some of the things that we've accomplished through our solidarity, I don't even think we realize how big of accomplishments they are. And, one example is going to the State House and disrupting, and then Governor DeWine declaring the state of an emergency. I'm not saying that that was solely because of us, like, oh, we did this, but we did deliver our demands to his office. We interrupted at the state house. We did a petition with only one. Uh, when Hillary called only one, they were like, you realize we fight this kind of stuff all the time, but we don't usually win. And I think people in, East Palestine in the Unity Council, we were like, yeah, we went and fought for it and he did it. That's why we did it. But they don't understand what a huge accomplishment that is, how fast we've been able to organize, the things that we have gotten done. And when I brought that up today in our board meeting to tell him again, I was so proud of him. Like, I'm going to cry. Like, I mean, I guess you can attest to it, Joy. It's like family now. Daniel from River Valley Organizing lives in Columbiana County, but he lives in Wellsville. So he's always very quick to say, I'm not from East Palestine, because he doesn't want to represent. And I'm like, Daniel, Wellsville is just as polluted as East. They have WTI in the cracker plant right up the river. I said, and at this point, your family, that's how we are out in the country. Your family now, you might as well say you have 47 immediate family members that live in the 1 mile zone, because I do, and he's part of my family. So when I say that I'm proud of these people, like, I am genuinely proud, so proud, to call them Unity Council, to call them family, to call them friends. We all know that the bottom line is get things done, and we're trying to get her done.
I mean, I feel the same exact way about you guys. I mean, I'm sure Andrews and Jenna have heard me say it a million times. I consider you guys family. Like, we may have only physically met once, but you guys are the best organizers I have ever worked with. It's truly incredible. When I say solidarity, I'm not talking like the hashtag solidarity on Twitter and then go like be assholes. I'm talking about like true solidarity. Like, there was not one negative thing that whole freaking day. It was nothing but love, appreciation, care, solidarity. It was so freaking beautiful. And one of the things that really stood out to me was that, we had speakers booked. There were 9 of you that were lined up to speak, but more and more people kept coming up and wanting to speak. And I was just like, oh my God, this is so powerful. And then other people were saying, I didn't know they would ever come to something like this. Now we have common ground with these people. We didn't know we're like kind of on the same wavelength as we are and stuff. And it just seemed like a great opportunity for people to connect and really like realize that you guys are all fighting the same battle.
Yeah. And I think to add to that, it was great to see the amount of people that would drive by and honk their horns in solidarity. Yeah. There were definitely a good few people who just happened to be walking on the sidewalk and stopped for a lengthy period of time to watch the speakers and really take it in. So that was, I think, something that was really notable because, I mean, I was looking Lisbon, Ohio. This is the first time I've been to Lisbon, Ohio. I think 2,500 people live there, right? And so even just getting some residents who happen to be walking by to even come there really, I think, just showed how powerful it was because it wasn't like in a city where there's a lot of people anyway there, right? And so that I thought was really, great to see.
Absolutely. It was powerful every way you look at it. And one of the things I'll say about the people who were there Saturday is, we had all this mutual aid, tons of mutual, literally tons, because that's literally what you all said it weighed. So much mutual aid. And the common thing people were saying was, there may be someone who needs it worse. I'm going to leave it there. And if it's still there at the end of the day, I'll take it. And I was just like, I just got goosebumps. Like, I just didn't expect it to be like that.
Yeah.
I just expected like, oh shit, I need that. Let me take one. Like, but it's like some people were like, well, I did get 1 case of water so last night or something. And I'm like, but you're gonna need more, And it's like,
Those
no,
cases of water go by fast, especially.
I know, and thank you again, Jamie, for letting us,
Oh,
kind
Jamie's.
of leave stuff, with you, to for people to come back for more supplies. But I thought, that is true community right there. Like, you're all suffering, but you're all still looking out for each other.
Yeah. Jamie, I think I saw your lips were moving, but the audio might not have been working. So was there something you were trying to say?
Yeah, I was gonna say, from my years of fundraising, it's people that have the least that give the most. And it's because we know what it's like to have nothing at all. It might be really tight for me if I have to go out and buy all my bottled water. It'd be nice to take all of, your cases. But on the other hand, then you think about it might be tight for me to get that water, but there are people that can't get water at all.
Right.
So then you hear that so much. I think there's someone else that needs it more than I do. But on the other hand, we also don't like to waste. Uh,
Right.
so that's why they say
Mm-hmm.
if it takes it, because if no one else is there that needs the water more than I do, then I'll take the water. I'm not going to go to waste. And just so you know, I've already had one gentleman reach out to me about coming to get a couple cases. And the other thing I want to say before I forget, Joy, is we do consider you family too. So don't forget next summer that the twins are coming out to stay with Auntie Joy for a couple of weeks. Um, I can, yeah, I'll buy the plane ticket now. Trust me, as I'm trying to. She's falling asleep on me.
Aw. No, I'll be out there before next summer. Like,
Oh,
I will be out there. Like, me and Jenna are already talking about, coming back out. I don't know if we'd have the ability to raise money to do that much mutual aid again, but I want to come out and support you guys again, even if it means just like hanging out in your backyard or something like that, going to a meeting with you guys. This I'm so not kidding you. Like, these past 6 months have changed my life as an activist. I just it has reinvigorated me and just touched me so much. And I know that this is far from over, and I don't want this to be like, oh, we did this, so let's move on. Like, this is about so much more than just one thing. This is environment, this is healthcare, this is, class solidarity. And Jamie, you said something that I always say as well. This is not a blue team or red team issue. This is about humanity. A lot of people like to equate this with electoral politics, and I think we're seeing very clearly that regardless of who is in office,
Yeah.
you guys are suffering.
Right.
So I don't know. I just thought it was so powerful, and I'm just so appreciative. I think you guys know you're awesome, but you just don't understand how awesome you are. Like, you guys are just epic. And Unity Council is like, I am honored to even, have meetings with you guys. Like, you
oh,
guys are rock stars.
thank you so much. Like I said, I don't think.
Yeah.
Do you feel like a rock star, Christina? I just feel like a mom. Like,
Yeah,
people
I just
fight to the death. Oh, go ahead.
yeah say something too with along like before along the lines of whenever Joy had come out here and stuff, and when she got to meet us and everything. I remember when we first went to Dr. Chai's office, and I first walked up to her. As soon as we came in the door, you were like open arms giving us a hug, and that was very welcoming as well. So we were happy to meet you too.
Right.
I
And
felt
like,
like I already knew you guys,
yeah, and that's what it felt like, is like, wow, this lady, she's like, "Yeah, I've known you my whole life, and it was great." Reporters come and they just interview you, but
Right.
you were like, "Hey, you're my friend." And that was
Like,
great.
sorry, I'm
just like,
staying. You're stuck with me.
I think that's
yeah,
good to see that we're just people. You know, we're just everyday
Yeah.
people. Everyone watching this, that we're just living our lives. You know, I stay at home and play with the kids, and Christina's out on her little farm in the middle of the woods, and we're all happy and just living life like everyone does, you know. And I think that's part of what I love about Unity Council too, is we don't pretend to be anything we're not. You know, like I always tell people, yeah, you know, I used to have a reputation. I used to like to drink and get in bar fights when I was 19, but I'm not ashamed of that. That's part of what made me me today. You know, every one of those mistakes we make. So it's not like we're standing up here saying we're better than everybody else, or, you know, looking down on people. We're like, hey, you know, it's us. We're real. This could be you. It could be you sitting on your porch holding your tired baby talking to, you know, someone doing an interview. Like, do you think Christina or I thought we would be doing this 7 months ago? Like,
even like, and that's one thing I think that I think that people should see too is like, we're just normal people, and everybody, even governors and everybody, are all just people, and this can happen to anybody anywhere in the world, not just here.
Mm-hmm. And, you know, this is one of those things where, you know, when kids and grandkids are growing up, especially in PA, Ohio, West Virginia, they're going to be like, Mommy, Daddy, what did you do when this, you know, happened? Did you go there? Did you call your governor? Did you call your reps, whatever? Or did you just like sigh and
State house, boy. We didn't call anybody. We walked up in there. No.
yes. That's what's up. See, that's why y'all are badasses. It's funny because Jenna, you guys met Jenna. She's like, I love Jamie so much, but I'm scared of her. I would not want to piss you off. I'll tell you that much right now. I would not want to piss you off.
No, that's funny you say that, because when I worked at Cleveland State and I would meet somebody, I'm friends, they'd be like, I never wanted to talk to you. You just looked mean and you were intimidating. And I said, I have resting bitch face. That's it. That, you know, I'm one of the nicest people. But when you look at me, I think, you know, my size, I'm a 6 foot tall, very fluffy, redheaded Italian who is loud and speaks her truth, no matter who in the room or who wants to hear it. So I think it's intimidating. But my mom will tell you, or is loud and kind of out there. That I also very quickly, I feel like I was actually watching a documentary on highly sensitive people, and I feel like that made me, like I feel it's not just like, oh, I feel bad. It's like I'll feel like being an empath, you know.
Yeah.
So, and hate very hard, like I ignore other, but I love just hard as I hate.
Absolutely.
But if Jenna wants to fight, it'd be a good show.
She could text me right after this, like, Joy, why'd you say that?
No, I've in times. I love Jenna. I would never do that to you, Jenna. But I said that in the book too. I said, you know, I had a reputation for bar fights. I can't think of one that I was ever in for me. But if someone disrespected one of my friends when I was with them, you know, I talked about being the biggest bully in my senior class, and then the next week being runner up for Sweetheart Queen. I wasn't, was a bully, but I bullied those who were bullying others. You know, my mom told me
It's the best kind of bullies.
right, if they're coming to school in the same clothes smelling funny. Maybe they don't have running water. Maybe their parents didn't teach them about hygiene. Maybe so, I kind of feel like that was kind of my leadership forming. I just had aggression that went with it back then. But
Andrew, do you have any questions?
So let me see. I guess what would be, was there anything at the rally that particularly surprised you, or that you went away that you weren't expecting?
I mean, Joy had me close it out, and I wasn't expecting that for me in there. I mean, no, I mean,
Good.
I agree with what you guys said. Like, it was such a great day. I loved talking to you guys and getting to meet everyone, but I kind of knew it was going to be that way. I knew you guys had good hearts, and I was going to like you, and so it didn't surprise me. I mean, I knew just by the fact that you guys were sacrificing your own time, your own money to come here and help us, that you were my kind of people. And when you said, Joy, even just to come hang out, I would love to do that next time. So we don't have to be at a rally, or, just come sit on the back porch and watch the kids play, or we can go Guilford Lakes close to here. But yeah, we'll find something to do. Not that the rally wasn't fun, but all work and no play is never fun.
Well, and shout out to Chrissy, who apparently is ready to start getting dirty. She's ready to start protesting. Yeah, Chrissy.
Funny.
I think we had an effect on her Saturday.
Oh,
I think for me, what was surprising is I don't know, whenever I was doing my speech, I felt like I was getting a bit riled up, but because I don't talk, like, I'm really shy, so I'm not really used to talking out in public and stuff. So I was surprised that I did start yelling, I guess.
Which it was needed. That's what was so beautiful. Like, most people just were organic. That was the first time after organizing dozens of actions I've ever spoken without writing at least, talking points down. And I'm like, you know what? I'm going organic. I'm just going with what's in my heart. Like, there's there's too much to say to try and write it down. Plus, I can't read anyway with my eyesight. So, I was like, you know what? I'm just going to go with it. And, even Timothea, she's like, I've never publicly spoken. And I'm like, what? I mean, you guys were all so amazing.
That's why I signed Timothea up. And even Christina, like, I'm going to do a proud mom moment, even though I'm nowhere close to being old enough to be Christina's mom. But it was, I told you my first conversation is, Christina reached out to me and she's like, we need help in PA. And I was like, dude, I need help too. So you're going to organize in PA. And she's like, I can't do that. Like, I don't do public speaking. I can't do what you do. And I was like, well, you're sitting there with your son. You guys are sick. You got to do it. You don't have a choice. And, she tells that story of, talking to her dad about it, being a single mom. And he's like, well, and hearing her speak there and the power in her voice, the conviction in her words, like, I started crying. I felt like her mom, like, this little Christina grown up. And it's the same thing, with Timothea. I recently had a conversation with her and she's like, do public speaking. I don't. And I said, look, I never did either. But like that, Joy, when you're speaking from your heart, it's a lot easier to do. I don't ever prepare for these speeches. I always say I'm going to do bullet points. Going to Columbus, I'm going to do bullet points. Got, sidetracked with phone calls for the rally. I'm going to get this done. Got sidetracked. But when you're speaking from the heart and you're speaking your truth, I don't it doesn't feel like public speaking to me. In college, it was always, people were going to be judging you and judging your words and your thoughts, and you were going to be graded. And then you were always afraid people were going to ask questions that you couldn't answer. What if I don't know that, but when you're speaking from your heart, you always have the right answer. So I feel like once people realize that it's not the same public speaking that we did in high school, um, it'll be easy. And I know Christina is going to be
Yeah,
speaking at all of our
I
events now.
I was thinking, whenever I was up there too, like I had mine written down, but I added some things as I was going along, and then it was kind of like I was talking, but everything around me was just like going away, and it was easy. But so yeah, like before this, I would shake when I got up in front of people, and I was super shy and felt like I was gonna like puke on the floor or something. But it was just like everything went away, because you're talking about your life and your health and the future. And like I showed my speech to my dad the night before, and he's like, "Oh, I think that's going to be a little bit pleady," but it's like, but that's where we're at. Like we need help,
Mm-hmm.
and we need it yesterday.
It goes back to our area too. Is in the country you have those morals, and one of the things that we've always been taught is not to ask for help. If you want something, you work for it. So I think that's kind of where some of our drive comes from too. Is we want something, we need to work for it. But I think it was a hindrance too, because people were like, we don't need anybody else, we can do this ourselves. And I said, no, it's not a sign of weakness. Asking for help, we're very strong. I mean, I think people know we're strong, but we need support. There's nothing wrong with saying we need Joy to come in and support us. We need Vance to listen to us and support our cause. It doesn't mean we're weak, because we're obviously not, but we need support right now. We need help. Our community needs help. We're going to be forced back to go into homes that haven't been tested yet, that we don't even know what to clean with. There are people that have never been able to get back, or never been able to leave their houses. Even the people that want to stay in East Palestine should know the truth. Maybe the raw facts of it, only the creeks are contaminated. And as long as you don't let your kids play in it, everything's fine. We just want the truth, and we want answers. And like I said, when it comes to our kids, we all say, oh, I'd fight to the death for my child. But now we're backing it up. I've never said anything with my mouth that my behind can't back up. And I'm not doing it when it comes to my daughter. So.
Absolutely. What is something that you want to leave with our viewers? Christina, what do you want people watching to take away from this interview about Unity Council, East Palestine, activism, anything like that? What do you want them to take away?
I think that just you can't give up, because like if anything like this or any kind of disaster ever happens where you're at, don't stop fighting for what you believe in, and don't stop fighting for your health and your kids' health and your community's health and futures. Because if you give up fighting for your life, you've given it up. Right.
Absolutely.
And like you look towards the government or your local officials, or like people that you're supposed to look up to, and all of them leave you. You just have to keep fighting anyway, because who else is going to save you?
Absolutely. Jami?
I mean, I think it's right along the lines of what Christina said, using your voice and following your gut. I think that we don't follow our gut enough in our society because we want to be polite. We want to be kind. If someone asks to use your cell phone because their car's broke down, you want to let them use it, even though you just feel like they're going to run off with it, and they do. I followed my gut instinct. I'm not a scientist, but I smelled the creaks. I know how I felt. And I was like, hell no, I'm not taking my daughter back into that house. So follow your gut, ask questions. Don't be blindly led. Prior to this, prior to me pulling in my driveway and experiencing what I experienced, I was arguing with my husband saying, we're going to go home. The EPA said it's fine. That's just who I was. If the government's saying it's fine, it's fine. And as soon as I pulled in that driveway, I'm like, no, this is not fine. So follow your gut, and don't feel like you can't do this. The story we just told about, I can't do this. Yes, you can. Can't do this. I do it with a baby sleeping on my lap. That's what we do. You will be able to do it. You will be able to get up there and speak. Just like Christina said, my thing with public speaking is I'm fair complected. So when I get up in front of people and be a little nervous, my face would turn bright red. And I was aware of that. So it would turn even redder. So I was like, there's no way I can do this. I couldn't do it in high school, couldn't do it in college. I can't do it now. Don't put yourself into that. Like I said, we're average everyday moms. You heard what Christina said. It was so much different when you're up there talking about your kid and talking about your life. And don't quit. Like I say, it doesn't matter if nothing ever changes and we have to live in contaminated homes forever. I still want Kyla to see that I fought, that I just didn't, sit down and take this and say, okay, poison my child, poison me. See you guys. Peace out. We'll live our lives. No, we're not going down like that.
Absolutely. Andrew, do you have any closing thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I think to close it out, and some of this question I think is obvious, right? When such a traumatic event happens, of course you're gonna start having different perspectives on things. You're gonna be more passionate about certain things because you see the effects. But beyond the obvious, in terms of how this has changed you, I'm curious: have any issues that before you maybe were less informed about or didn't really think about as much? Any specific issues have they really come to you, and now you're kind of thinking about that a lot more in your life, and you're piecing together as different kind of daily events happen that you're kind of sorry if that was a little broad.
I'll say that definitely it's made me more aware of my environment. I talked about this at the rally, like in all of my 46 years of living in East Palestine, I never once thought, what if a train full of chemicals derails in the middle of town? Thought about it. And then I'm looking around me and I'm like, you have Hermitage Thermal, which is a incinerator that's less than 15 minutes down the road. We have the cracker plant, which has to do with fracking, less than 15 minutes down the road. And I'm looking around us. They just put a dump in Negley. Right now, they're fighting a dump in West Point. And I'm looking around, and, when people are saying, oh, they do this to poor communities, I'm like, we're a poor community, and they did this to us. Like, how could I have been so blind, so naive, so stupid? And that's something that I urge people to do, that I learned my lesson about, was look around you, be aware of the dangers, look at what they're doing to our environment. Like, our environment is all we have, to leave to our children. Yeah, people can leave money, but what's money if the planet's dead and you're dead too? So I just feel like I've always felt really connected to the environment. I'm one of those people that I love to be outside and feel the wind and the sounds of the birds. That's my peace. That's my spirituality. That's my connection to the earth. So how am I letting all this stuff go on around me so blindly? But I'm going to make that right.
Christine, how about yourself?
That's a lot of what I think too. But yeah, like I didn't realize how, I guess, how heartless that the government really is. But like I don't like to think of people that way, because I give everybody like a benefit of the doubt, and they're people too. But like, how can you sit and watch like a community suffer like this and do absolutely nothing, and don't even come to see for yourself what's going on? You just take it for, like, you take the word of the multi-billion-dollar company that everything is fine, or a few people that are in town from your own agencies, but you don't come to see it for yourself. And I don't see how really how anybody can just sit and watch people be sick, and watch eventually, possibly, watch people die. Like, I've told people before, I feel like they're just letting us sit here like the thousands of fish that died in the creek, and we're just waiting for our turn.
Right. They got asthma, Christina. Stop.
Oh, is that what it was?
They gave Edward at one of the EPA meetings, and it's called Dusty the Goldfish, and
Color.
Dusty the Goldfish with Asthma and What Asthma Triggers Are. And it was a coloring book. And we were laughing so hard. I'm like, first of all, why would they pick a goldfish and then name him Dusty? Because the dust is what's giving all of our kids asthma. And I said, the only reason why I can think they chose a fish was because they wanted to say all the fish had their asthma triggered too and died. And I know.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, it's
How
almost
is that a good idea? I need to look, they're making bajillions of dollars coming up with those garbage ideas. And I'm sitting here like, why can't, like, give me the money to do something and I'll actually use it for good. That is, oh my God.
all the
Wow.
groups of children all of a sudden are coming down with asthma. You know,
Yeah.
they told my one friend Candace that like 2 of her kids had eczema from, they told them that's what the chemical burns are. I'm like, you know, they've told, I mean, I know at least 20 people they've told that in town, eczema. Eczema is not contagious. I have eczema. You know, I told you I have skin irritations anyways. It's not contagious. And you mean to tell me that many people came down with eczema?
And I've seen the marks and everything. That's not eczema. You could just look at it. I'm not a dermatologist, but it's not eczema. I mean, it's wow. So I mean, it's frustrating being lied to, but it's even more frustrating that they're being so blatantly obvious and insulting your intelligence by thinking they're going to convince you by saying such absurd stuff.
Yeah, they think we're a bunch of dumb hillbillies. Um, and that's where they, you know, like I said, we're educated. We might be hillbillies, but we're educated hillbillies down this way. You know, there's nothing wrong with being from the country. That doesn't mean, you know, just because we like simplicity in our life doesn't mean we have simple minds. And I think that's where they
Absolutely.
underestimated us. What is stupid about us is we have stupid loyalty. You know, we're loyal to each other. We're loyal to our causes. So watch out, DC. Here we come.
Yes, 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 yes. I am so hyped. Oh my God, I'm so proud of you guys. And like I said at the rally, I'm saying it now. You guys have my word. I will, I will definitely be back. And I will continue to help absolutely any way I can. All of you have an open invitation to the show anytime you guys want.
Woo woo. You're in Philadelphia, right?
What's that?
Are you in Philadelphia?
Harrisburg.
Okay, but that's close to Philadelphia, right?
It's like an hour and a half.
Okay. Because my husband is an avid Eagles fan, and he
Mm.
won the game, so I'm thinking we can just stay with Joy. No.
Hey,
They're going to
that's
come out.
fine with me.
That's on his bucket list, is to get out there for an Eagles game. So,
Oh, yeah. I mean, I have an air mattress, so.
right.
And
Or you
I
can
mean,
find
you
Red
know,
News and hang out with you.
Edward would be very jealous if Kyla got to come stay, but.
Oh,
Out that way too. So
Road trip. Well, best of luck to everything that's this week coming. I'm so proud of you guys. Much love to you and all of the Unity Council, everyone who was at the events this weekend. And like I said, keep in touch. We will help any way we can.
yeah, thank you guys so much. Like, it was so awesome. I felt like I already knew you, but to actually see you guys in person, even though we were running around a lot, like I said, next time we're just gonna sit down and hang out.
Yeah, for sure. And thank you guys so much for watching. Please smash that like button. Please hit subscribe. I also am on Rockfin, so please subscribe and like that there as well. Andrew, any last words?
Yeah, no, I mean it was great meeting you all. Really appreciate it, and it was great to just hear from all of you personally, just kind on at the rally, what you were going through, just through conversations, but also just in your speeches. And yeah, it was extremely organic, and it can be amazing what adrenaline coupled with speaking your truth, where it can take you. And so, yeah, it was a pleasure meeting you all and being there.
could I say one quick?
Yeah.
So we're working on putting up the rally on our YouTube page as well for people to watch. And our YouTube page is Unity Council P. And there's a couple things already, but the rally I'm going to work on putting up.
Awesome. And please subscribe. Please follow them on Facebook if you have Facebook. Also, shout out to Tammy and Rick Chai, who we did the first mutual aid drop to on Friday. Shout out to them as well. Subscribe to Chai Pod, TSAIPOD. Yeah, thank you so much and looking forward.
Yeah, Jenna, real quick. So I guess Jenna was asking to repeat a quick thing that you were saying, Christina.
We have, well, we're going to have tonight, probably late tonight, the rally on our YouTube page, and it's Unity Council EP on YouTube.
Okay. Awesome. Great. Hopefully that clarified things for Jenna or anyone else who missed that the first time. So, yeah.
Thank you again so much, Christina. Bye, Edward.
Thank you.
Aw, that's my buddy.